Hi, everybody. I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about a goddess who has been with me my entire life. Her name is Kali, and you might have heard of her. She's often a goddess who is feared because of the way she looks and what she's depicted with. And I wanted to shed some light on who she is and bring some awareness of how she can be found in many other cultures and how she is an important part of our lives. Now, I have been waiting for this to come out for a very long time now. I hope you heard the transmission with Jesse and Alana Fairchild during the retreat, which was epic. And Alana Fairchild has channeled many decks that are out of this world. I could go on and on. And when I found out she was channeling this Kali deck, I think my mind was blown because I don't know. I think sometimes that there's number one, a lot of people fear Kali. She's not often represented. And number two, I sometimes feel like there's not really a true understanding of the Indian pantheons of gods and goddesses that, we learn about many of the other gods and goddesses from different traditions, Egyptian, Greek especially, Irish, Celtic, really, not Irish, but Celtic, and others as well. And, when I grew up, that I found that there was a lot of fear around some of the Indian gods and goddesses that I didn't see the same fear around the Egyptian gods and goddesses, for example, even though they may have had animal heads or interesting depictions. And I'm not sure what that is about, but I have never really officially studied any of the Indian gods and goddesses. Being Indian, they have been in my life, my whole life, and not really directly from my parents. They're just part of the culture. I actually ran away from my own culture for my entire life, and what I found amazing is it was the gods and goddesses that always kept bringing me back. So who is Kali? And then I'm gonna do a card reading from this deck. So this deck actually comes out in January, and manifestation works. I manifested it early. So yeah, this is a beautiful thing. So Kali is who's Kali? And I don't know how to summarize this really quickly, but Kali has shown up in my life in many ways. I went through a very tough childhood, and I realized that, and a very tough young adulthood, and and she still keeps coming to me because she is there as a fierce and loving mother. She is considered to be a emanation or a version of another goddess. So the one of the main goddesses is Durga. This is not Kali. This is a goddess named Durga, and you can see that she rides the lion. She is also known by another name called Parvati. And Durga or Parvati are supposed to be the consorts of Shiva. So this is the divine masculine and the divine feminine. You might have also heard the word Shakti. Shakti is another name for Parvati or Durga. And this is the divine union of the masculine and the feminine between Shiva and Durga. And Kali is an emanation of Durga in a very fierce form. And the fierceness comes out as a protection. So this is Kali Ma. I have lots and lots of statues around my home. I have more than the Indian gods and goddesses. I actually have, who else do I have around here? Oh, I have lots of statues. I love them. Here's Mama Gaia. Here's my starseed, Shipibo starseed. This is made out of the rock of Machu Picchu. carrying Aya and San Pedro. But I have lots of statues, but I wanted to really show Kali because you can see that she's often depicted, in her fierce form, which is the blood red tongue dripping of actual blood. You can see that she lies or she stands on top of Shiva, 1 foot on top of Shiva. And if you look at Shiva, Shiva does not look scared. Shiva is enlightened. Okay? And then this is a really important aspect of Kali Ma, because in her fierceness, in her love, she is removing all the baggage and the identity and the ego and the stories that we are putting on ourselves. And there are many stories about, how Kali is represented in the Indian pantheon and the stories and the talks behind it. And a lot of them put the relationship between Kali Ma and Shiva as like a union and a partnership. And, Shiva has a little bit more of a, I don't know what the word is, maybe control over Kali, but that's not really the true nature. That has more to do with, I believe, the patriarchy that has come out. And although India is a very matriarchal society, I think we understand what it means to have the patriarchal times. So those stories talk about like Shiva being able to calm Kali down and blah, blah, blah. But really what it is you can see, as I mentioned, he looks very calm. And it is because he saw the beautiful potential of what Kali can bring. And he asked Kali to step on him. And when she did, he saw everything that is and everything that is not. And he became the creator, the destroyer, the preserver, the manifester of, all that is and all that is not, in that sense of holding the world together in what it is. And she is the female emanation of that. And she actually helped him become enlightened. Hi, Sakula. Nice to see you. And one of the things that I grew up with was this idea that Kali was to be feared, that she was a scary goddess. And this didn't only come from, growing up in a Western culture. This also came from my family or, people who were around in Indian culture. The first time I saw Kali was when my family's from North India. We traveled to South India, and there was this beautiful, gorgeous black statue of Kali who was in the center of a village. And she was really fierce looking, blood red tongue, all in black. Let me see if I don't have a picture of her in black. But this was something that was to be feared, because she is fearful, not because of her blood red tongue and her skulls that she is ripping off the heads. She's to be feared because she is going to make you a better version of you. And she is ripping through everything that doesn't serve you. All those stories, all those narratives, everything that you think you identify with and you think that you are, she is going to pierce that. And she doesn't come in and, she's a mother, but she doesn't do it in a gentle form. She comes in and rips it out like ripping off a Band-Aid, because it's time for you to face it and it's time for you to confront it. And she knows just when to do this. Now, you can see she wears a garland of severed heads, and these are all of our ego identities. This is every version of us, and she's ripping through those layers, and she will hold that head and show you who you are. She will put it right in front of you and tell you that this is not who you are. You are not this ego. You are not this body. You are a wonderful, divine emanation of the God goddess, the divine union of the masculine and the feminine. Hi, Calvin. Thanks for watching, and thanks for everybody who's on here watching this. This is really just a powerful symbol of all of the representations of who we think we are, whether it's baggage from past lifetimes, whether it's baggage from our past within this lifetime, whether it's the narratives and stories we put in upon ourselves just, by what other people tell us. There's so many things. Now, I could go into all of the iconography of this, but I don't want to spend too much time because honestly, she reveals herself to you. And she can be found in many cultures. I used to think of her as being only Indian. And it was interesting because all of the goddesses that I have been drawn to are versions of her. And it has just been so beautiful to see. Hecate, anybody who, really worships and studies paganism and really understands these, divine emanations of the gods and goddesses, understands that they are represented in all cultures. Sekhmet, the beautiful Egyptian lioness goddess of healing and medicine, is another version of Kali. Black Tara in Tibetan Buddhism. She can be found everywhere. And these are emanations of the divinity that is asking us to step into our highest form and really cut through our bullshit, pretty much. I can tell you that she has appeared so many times in my life, time and time again, but I'm just going to give you 2 examples of when she stepped in and she acted for me. And this was right in the beginning of this quarantine. I can tell you that, I'm a mother. My daughter is 7 years old. My daughter has, she came to me. She's a starseed, beyond doubt. All the children are. We all are. But, yes, I will be doing a card reading too. She was choosing me because we must have this soul contract that she was going to wake me up. Now, I've had my own difficulties in being a mother. I am a fierce and loving mother, just like Kali, but I have my struggles with motherhood. This is just something that is not ingrained in me like it is with most women. I have that natural mothering instinct, but that kind of desire to be a mother is just not something that was in me. I could not imagine anybody else beside my daughter. And, we all choose our families for a reason. But I've really offloaded her education to other people. Now, I didn't trust the government. I don't trust the educational system in this country. So I sent her to a private school that was doing a much better job with social emotional learning and, things that I believed in. But at the beginning of this quarantine, I didn't even know what was happening. It was a combination of my higher self and Kali Ma that came in and literally stepped into me. I went to a meeting with my business partner. I had no clue I was going to do this. I went into a meeting to have a normal meeting, and I ended up resigning right on the spot. Now, this was just a, small business co-partnership, whatever. But it even shocked me. I just was like, this is not what I'm going to do. And I was like, I came home and I after I did it, I felt this levity, I felt this clarity. And then I felt this horrible shock of what the fuck did I just do? And why did I do that? And I came home and I told my husband and he was like, where did that come from? And I'm like, I have no clue. And then about a week later, it was the beginning of March or April, whatever, and it was the first of the month, and we were supposed to pay our tuition for private school. Now, we're in lockdown on this point, and school is nothing more than Zoom, and pretty much everything I was paying the school for, aside from the social emotional learning and their wonderful teachers and, all the good things that they do, but part of it was to have my daughter be out of the home, right? And it was expensive, and I quit my corporate career last year, and I was not in a position to really be paying this amount of money, especially now that I resigned my other job. And out of nowhere, like it was literally a 16-hour decision. She stepped in again and I pulled the plug. I gave my husband about an hour. I am really grateful that he trusts me with these things. I gave him about an hour to make a decision and trust me that we were going to go into homeschooling. Now, I can tell you, I am not somebody who knows how to homeschool a child. Like, this was a severe learning curve for me. And here I was trying to figure out what I was going to do and with my own life, and now making a decision to homeschool. And we pulled out of that school, and then suddenly I was thrust into this world. Like, the next day I woke up and I was I felt like I had blood all over the bed, like all, like my head, my ego, everything I identified with had been ripped away. And it took a little bit of time. It took a little bit of time. But I knew in that moment it was Kali. She had come and she just ripped that head off. She took a clean knife. She didn't give me time to think. It was a clean cut. And she said, no more. You are going to take control of your life. You are going to do what you are meant to do. And you don't have a choice. What is it that I'm meant to do? I am meant to be creating for myself, not with somebody else, because this is what my purpose is. This is why I'm here. So it was about creating my own vision. And it took about, 3 or 4 more months in my own practice. And suddenly I was downloaded with everything. And, being in this mystery school, being, under the guidance of these wonderful teachers here, there was so much that was coming through, along with many other teachers that I work with. I'm so blessed to have called in amazing guides and teachers into my life. You ask, you put your intention out there, and it comes back to you. Just like I manifested this deck early, you can manifest anything that you want. And through that, I downloaded my business. I downloaded those codes. I downloaded what I needed. And I also realized what it was this missing connection between my daughter and I. And by really giving her to the educational system, even though, I had sent her and was paying an arm and a leg for a really good education that went beyond the basics of like math and whatnot, it was not what she needed. What she needed was teaching from me that went way beyond our standards of learning. And what she needed was this relationship from me. And more than what she needed from me is what I needed from her, because she is my greatest teacher. And I have known that since she was born. All the transformations that I've had are because of her. But truly, it was seeing that and having Kali rip that head off of me and really add it to the garland that she has for me. I was transformed, and I am a completely different person. Kali steps into your life when you need it the most. She is there to guide you. She is there to protect you. She is a fierce and loving mother. She wants the best for you, and she is going to rip that band-aid off of you. It may seem painful at first, it may hurt, but it is for your highest and greatest good. And never to fear her and all of her forms. She comes in so many forms, and it is one of the beautiful things that I love about the Kali Oracle and what Alana Fairchild has done, because she has taken all the forms of Kali. She has taken her and has transmitted this into this amazing oracle. So when this is out in January, please go get this oracle. But I promise you, it is a tough oracle. She cuts right into it. It's just like her Isis oracle. She knows how to channel these goddesses. Thank you very much for your comments. I really appreciate it. I want to leave you with one story of Kali, one more story of how Kali comes into my life, and then I'm going to read this card. But the card that came out is actually a card that I have pulled another time today, and this is the card that Alana had posted on her Instagram a while back, saying that she was channeling this deck, and that made my jaw drop. And you can see it's such a beautiful picture of her, because it has her in her, loving, beautiful form, and in her dark, demon form, this demon that is here to show you your demons. And so the last story that I want to say is that I was in India last year in February, and I hadn't been to India in 20 years. Now, I've been to India many times in my life, but there's a lot of reasons. It was actually a 19-year hiatus from going. And I went to new parts of India that I hadn't been to, including South India. And I was in this part where it was worshiping this white woman. She was a, I don't know, I guess a practitioner of somebody else who was really famous and, a really good teacher. I don't like to use the words guru and all these things because they're really misrepresented. But he was a teacher, and when he passed away, for whatever reason, she became the focus. And she was a woman from France, and she was very pure and very wonderful, and I'm not discrediting her. But the entire city became about the worship of a white female, which I really had a problem with being in India, because I felt like I could see colonization still in existence while it wasn't there still. And I was really disheartened and really disappointed. And it was hurting me because I could see the village people were all kind of feeding into this system of providing things for all these Western white tourists, like the clothing that they were making and everything. This was all for a specific type of female that would come to this ashram. And it really, really bothered me. It hurt my heart a lot. And we were in a rickshaw. And out of the corner of my eye, we're leaving this place. And I was like, they called this white woman the mother, the mother, the mother. And I was like, she may be a mother, but she is not the mother. She was not the mother to me. So I had a hard time identifying with that. And we were in this rickshaw. Rickshaws are these kind of like open air vehicles. They just have a little bit of a cover, and, they can be motorized or on a bicycle. And so, I see out of the corner out of my eye this Kali statue, which was ginormous. I mean, it was like, I don't know, maybe like a story high, but it was hidden. It was hidden behind these trash piles. And I was like, I swear that was Kali. And like, my husband couldn't see it. We couldn't really see it, but I asked the rickshaw driver to just stop. There's mounds and mounds of trash around, and you can't really see this temple. But I asked him to pull aside, and I'm like, in my chappal, which are like sandals, and I'm like climbing through this mountains of trash in India, which is not clean. And I get to the other side, and I can see, like, I am just stunned by this wall of reverence. It was like I moved from one density of air into another density of air. I had been taken into a portal, and I walk in, and there's no protective area around this temple, and I understand now that's why the trash piles are there. That is what is protecting the temple. And I go in, and I am seeing figures I have never seen before. This was a true tantric temple. It was so beautiful. I mean, these are figures of, these were, I think, servants of Kali and workers with Kali who I've never seen before. They had the most beautiful representation of Kali in red. It was just, I had never felt such reverence in my heart for the mother before. I walk in, and I'm just looking around. And now in India, there's lots of dogs around, and there's dogs everywhere. They're sleeping. It's hot as hell. They're just passed out in the sun. And I'm just walking around gently and looking, and like my heart is overflowing with love, because here in this place where I thought there was no worship of the mother, there was the deepest worship of the true mother that I have ever seen. And I walk, and I approach this giant red statue of Kali that I'm talking about. Now, this is like as tall as, I don't know, it was like maybe 10 feet tall. So it's massive. And she's standing on Shiva, Shiva having the look of reverence, look of love, look of, enlightenment. And I take out my phone, being who I am, and I'm like going to go click and take a picture. And I go to, I take the picture, and there's a click, that little sound. And this dog who's sleeping at the base of her feet looks up, And he looks at me, and I'm thinking, you know, just stray dog, whatever, he's fine. And he gives one bark, and every single dog in that temple alerts up, looks at me, and like they give me this look, and they're like, "You have 1 second." I hightailed it out of there so fast. They were chasing me. I'm scrambling over this pile of trash to get to the other side. And all I am saying in my heart is thank you, thank you, thank you, Kali Ma. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing me to enter this place of reverence, to show me the mother, to show me that when I think all is lost, when I think that, you know, we are in this matrix where we are worshiping the wrong gods and that we have lost our way, that the divinity is always there. And so I thank her for allowing me to see that. And so I encourage you to not be fearful of Kali and to look to her and ask her questions and develop a relationship with her. And if it's not Kali herself, look at Hecate or look at Sekhmet, look at Black Tara. There are so many forms of her. So now I'm going to do this reading because I know this card came out for all of us. You can see it here, and it's Dharma of Kali. Dharma of Kali. Her every action is infused with loving purpose. Every challenge and every opportunity in your life exists by her divine design. Her spiritual intelligence is within your heart. When you trust in your integrity and proceed along your soul's values, you're trusting and empowering her to be a cause in your life. Everything that is happening is part of how your prayers are being answered. A new order is to be established. You are being led into it. To honor the Dharma means to live according to genuine spiritual principles. What those principles are depend on your inner values. To live according to your values means living with integrity of being, conducting yourself according to an inner spiritual code. If you're not quite ready to take such responsibility or do not yet have the confidence to trust in your own values, work with an external moral code and attempt to align with that. Morality is like training wheels for the soul, imposing concepts of right or wrong. It is a top-down approach, mind first, then attempting to mold behavior accordingly. Spiritual integrity is a different approach. It does not ask what others think about a matter or how we will be judged for acting in a certain way. Rather, it inquires as to what resonates most spiritual and what is most spiritually aligned course of action. It considers how we can speak and act in such a way that those inner values are respected. Now remember, everything is thought, speech, action. So what you think, what you speak, and how you act. And often these morality codes that are indoctrinated into us from birth through whether it's religion or society or whatever, telling us how to think, which then, you know, sometimes we might be speaking and acting against because they're not aligned with us. So this is a reminder to find those things that are aligned with you so that your thought, speech, and action are aligned. And that's where manifestation comes from. When we are in harmony and unity in our body, and when we are aligned, we can make magic because we are speaking from our soul's true essence, and we are the embodiment of what we are thinking and how we are behaving. Adherence to external moral codes is useful in the earlier stages of development, but when a soul is ready to grow, being overly guided by morality can undermine spiritual progress. Morality can lead the soul into a state of psychological infancy, responding to externally imposed measures of conduct and aiming to avoid repercussions when a transgression is discovered by another. So anybody who is in the mystery school might have heard Jesse talk about this with regard to this idea of duality and rules, and you know whether it was Christian codes of conduct and saying that you should not have sex and you should not do this before marriage, and then you shouldn't, thou shalt not in every way. And when this goes against our nature, that we end up in this feeling of, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you do the thing because that feels aligned with you and that is right for you, then you're acting in that way, but then maybe you act with shame and regret because you feel like that wasn't something you're supposed to do because somebody else told you that was wrong. And then there's the other side of the thing that you're denying your true nature by saying, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because they told me I can't eat, I don't know what it is, like meat on Fridays or whatever it is. I can't do this thing. And so you're denying what you want because that's what somebody else told you to do. Where you are really wanting to do is come into alignment with yourself and find what is right for you rather than, following these rules of right and wrong, because then you're always going to be living in shame, guilt, blame, or denial of your true self. And that's what this is saying. So I'll read that sentence again. Morality can lead the soul into a state of psychological infancy, responding to externally imposed measures of conduct, aiming to avoid repercussions when transgression is discovered by another. Or it may suffer with guilt and shame when a moral code has been violated, intentionally or not. So that's that guilt that can come by. In such a mindset, we hand the power over to the collective that establishes the code, whether it be religious, socioeconomic, family, political group, or the collective in more general. In following that code, we can adopt something of a childlike attitude to punishment and reward. And this is where we live in cycles of victimhood, of that idea of, we get or we lose something. We're going to be punished or we're going to go to heaven. And really, that doesn't do anything for us. Hence the shock when bad things happen to good people, right? Because we have this false idea that, if you're a good person, you follow the rules, that nothing bad should happen to you. But truly, life is an experience, and anything that happens that's quote unquote bad is there for your growth. It's not a bad experience. The only thing that makes it bad is your viewpoint. So this is all about mindset and how you train your mind to understand that when harshness and difficult times and when Kali comes to rip off a head of your ego, it is all for your benefit. So it's about feeling the emotional loss, feeling the pain, feeling the difficulty. Allow yourself to feel it. Don't deny the feeling. But then it's about not having judgment. Oh, somebody said the video has no sound. Can you guys hear me? Is anybody else having problems with sound? Did it go out? I'm gonna wait and see if anybody else is having any problems. I might be on a little bit of a delay. Okay, well, I still see 11 people watching, so I am going to keep reading. Those with courage to grow into following an inner code can take greater responsibility for their lives and actions. From greater responsibility, thank you for letting me know. From greater responsibility arises greater freedom. In moving away from the crowd, such souls can forge their own path. This does not mean that we act in despicable ways to others. Certainly, there are people who deny the power of a moral code, but also lack an inner connection to spiritual presence, and so move with an absence of integrity altogether. Such people create much pain for themselves and others. They assume a level of personal power without spiritual maturity to ensure that power is expressed benevolently. This is really important. We all know that this is not about following rules, right? But if you don't follow rules, you have to have your own moral compass. You can't just act without without spiritual integrity, because then your power becomes purposeless. And this is when you end up with people who are just in it for power's sake. And that doesn't do anything. Our evolutionary process for strengthening our connection to Dharma, or spiritual law, transforms relationship with ourselves, each other, and the world. As we grow spiritually and mature at a psychological level, we naturally begin to cultivate our inner values, eschewing those that we have been taught that no longer resonate with us. We learn the painful lessons of what happens when we abandon our values to pursue that which society says is most important: control, profit, or personal gain at any cost. Social status through positions of power, for example. Have you ever done that? I can tell you I spent my life doing that, where I go against my moral compass and I do what society tells me to do. I knew that my purpose and passion was in blending science and spirituality. And I did what society told me to do. I kind of left that behind and I went into corporate to make money, because you're supposed to make money and climb a ladder and do whatever that you're supposed to do with climbing a ladder. I don't know where the ladder goes to. But in doing so, I lost myself. I say all the time that I sold my life or sold my soul to corporate, and I refuse to do anything like that again. Opportunities are constantly coming my way for various things, to freelance, to do something, and I refuse to do that again, because it's about staying aligned with our moral code. And this is what the universe does. It gives you opportunities because opportunities are always there. The question you need to ask is, what is this opportunity serving? Is it in alignment with me? Does this opportunity, if I take it, is it in resonance with who I am? Is this coming out of fear, or is this coming out of my higher purpose? I can give you an example today. I got an opportunity to freelance for recipe development. Now, my work is in like mixture of food and optimal health, mind, body, and soul, and science and spirituality and all these things. And one of my friends had recommended me to somebody who was looking for somebody to develop recipes for plant-based recipes. And I do this all the time. This is what I do partially for my own career. And they were looking for somebody to develop recipes for somebody else, because they just want to be able to film them and put them out there and make them whatever. And I have to say, earlier today, I was going through a moment of, feeling lack in terms of finances. I have not worked since January of 2019. I have been living off of my savings, and, I'm building something for myself, but that takes time. And, the universe has really been providing for me. We've had to deal with everything from kitchen floods to like, the wind just blew off our gate on our house. I mean, things are happening, right? Things happen. And like, it's just about having faith, right? Staying aligned with, my spiritual and moral compass. And I went through a moment of lack. There was this like, oh God, what am I going to do? Where's this money going to come from? I want to buy some crystal alchemy bowls for sound healing. And the wind blew off the gate, and I'm paying for something for my daughter who, for her well-being. And I was like, where's this money coming from? And so here's this opportunity that comes and just handed to me. The woman really liked me. She really was like, yes, I want to do this. And I had to sit back with myself. And I was, I will be sharing recipes. But I was thinking about like, what does this mean to create for somebody else? Where is that coming from within me, this opportunity to create? Am I doing this out of fear, or I am doing this out of my higher self? And what I recognized, that this was coming out of a fear of lack of money. This idea that I might be lacking money, but I'm not lacking money. The universe has been giving to me as I have been giving to it in my energy, in the belief in building something. I don't want to be creating for somebody else. I want to be creating for myself. Creating for somebody else, although it's more aligned with what I'm doing now, is still going back to that old corporate mentality of doing something because that's what is expected of me, because people expect me to be earning money by now. I expected to be earning money by now, but I had to keep pivoting, and those pivots were essential for me. And I've invested in myself. I invested in myself with various mentors and guides and people to help me, and it's helping me grow. But if I am giving my energy to create for somebody else, the opportunity cost that I'm dealing with is I lose the time to invest in myself, to be creating for myself. So I had to go through that process. And this is what she's talking about here, that when we are, operating from that point of like, oh, I need to be doing this because this is what's expected of me, then we are out of alignment with ourselves. And this is the painful lesson, because we're filling in we're trying to step in society's ideas about us, and we're not creating this new earth that we're here to create. So I'll read that again. When we learn the painful lessons of what happens when we abandon our values to pursue that which society says is more important, control, profit, or personal gain at any cost, social status through positions of power, for example. We increasingly align ourselves with our values and adhere to them more courageously, evolving them according to inner resonance than outer effect. And that's what I'm doing. I'm now staying in my inner resonance, and I encourage you to do that. We realize that self-respect is more important than trying to control and manipulate outer events or other people. We are moved from a place of inner place rather than motivated by external rewards. As a consequence, it is spiritually safe for us to receive an abundance of material blessings because we will know we will not try to sell our souls to obtain them. And that's the point. You have to be in that place of allowing an energetic flow. And when you are in an energetic flow, you are giving and receiving. And when you are giving from that place of your higher self rather than from a place of fear, the universe gives back to you. The Dharma of Kali brings the message that your most abundant successes will manifest when you are aligned with your integrity. You do not need to put your faith in pathways or projects that do not resonate with your deep spiritual knowing and values. Seeking the ways of the world to bring you what you need is only going to limit your spiritual progress and undermine the most abundant manifestation of your purpose. If you intuitively know that you need to engage with a more traditional worldly means of progress, then you can do so with your spiritual integrity intact and guiding you so you stay true to yourself in the process. As you are guided from within, you shall make the best process and progress. So remember, it's always about that inner guidance. So there's a beautiful invocation ritual. And so if you are feeling called to do this, I invite you to do this. You can close your eyes, put your hands on your heart. Just take a deep breath. Just take a breath in for a count of 3, hold for a count of 3, and exhale for a count of 3. And let's do this together. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the bottom, 3, 2, 1. And now just feel into your heart. Is there something that is troubling you? Is there a question? Is there something that you want to ask Kali Ma? Something that you can have her guide you and help you see the obstacle that you are placing in front of yourself, and ask her for the guidance to rip it away, to cut it clean with a clean cord so that there are no hanging edges. And when you're ready, you can say this following prayer either out loud or in your heart. Kali Ma, beloved wearer of the mala of skulls and marigolds, I bow to you. You are the way, the healing, the integrity, and the resolution. You are the blessing both in chaos and in grace. I release fear and attachment to outcome. I become free and ready to receive and be held within your divine will. I choose to trust you unconditionally. I surrender all concerns to you now and open to receive clear alignment with the highest path for resolution and release that brings spiritual benefit to all beings. Jai Ma Kali. Now bring your awareness to your heart. You may keep your hands over to your heart and continue to have that connection, feeling into Kali Ma. You can imagine her there. Imagine her in any form that you see, any form that you may know of her. Maybe she is one of the other forms of the goddesses, and she is shining in your heart. See her as red and black lights. See her as blue. See her however you will. But just feel her love. Send her loving blessing reaching down to your feet and flowing through your feet into the earth. Your path is secured, grounded, and protected in her loving grace. Now place your hands in prayer and bow to her, giving gratitude. Jai Mahakali. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being with us here. Thank you for allowing us to receive your guidance and your messages. Aho, namaste. I hope this resonated with you. I thank you so much for watching. It's really been an honor to be in this container with you all, to just be able to share and grow and learn from each other. Find your inner spiritual compass and stay true to yourself. And ask Mother Kali, ask her for guidance. Know that the demons she shows you are just reflections that might be scary, but they are really just time for us to let go and become this newer, higher, energetic, more vibrational version of ourselves. We're in a potent time period right now. We're coming up to the 11/11 portal, and this is a really strong period of manifestation. So I encourage you, take time, meditate. If you don't meditate daily, take time and really set some time to create intention for yourself. Create intentions for what it is you want to manifest. We're in this time to create a new earth, and it all begins with us as individuals. And we're here as a collective to support one another. Namaste.